Alright guys, we still have 5 days before we leave, and I've got to do oil change, sprockets, I've got to fix the footwells. I think that's my list of things to do. And I got to get my goggles to fit my glasses. That's a separate thing. So anyways, I figured I'd record the sprocket and oil change, and possibly the stitching. I'm not sure, we'll see about that. Anyways, we'll get to it. So I'm not sure if these are non-stock or if later models they changed them. These are a number 3 Phillips and they wouldn't come loose, so I'm using a tool that when you strike it, it turns slightly. And I'm going to replace those with Allens, because on a vehicle I hate Phillips. And then from what I understand, this nut is a 30 millimeter. Clean that all up. And mine is different than the late model ones. They have a thing that bends in. This has got a keeper washer. So it looks like I gotta bend that out. Wow, that's got O-rings coming out of it. Hopefully I got the right sprocket. Okay. So I did not have a 30 millimeter, which is what it says it is online. Now that could be the newer bikes. I don't know what that is, but I do know 1 1/16 inch will fit it, and that's what I had. So 1 1/16 inch fits the nut. And I gotta get the chain off. Chain. How do I get you off? Where's the master link? I gotta see if this thing has a master link and see if I can get it off, and probably loosen the rear axle too. I didn't find a master link, so I'm just gonna cut the chain off. I don't care, it's trash. So we'll just use a cutoff wheel. All right, chain removal tool. Hey, look at that, the chain came off. All right. Has it got a master link anywhere? This chain did not have a master link. I also don't know what kind of chain it is, but it is toast. Alright, chain's off. Sprockets are next. Alright, I got a, I'm gonna butcher this name, Taksago Japanese chain. 520H. It's does not have O-rings. My old chain did. Whatever. you guys will probably know better than I would, because I don't know jack about this brand, if it's a good chain or not. But it was fairly cheap online, and it said it was pre-stretched, and they actually gave a breaking strength, which I didn't see any other chains do that. So I'm gonna get you guys off there and we'll have a look at this. So pre-stretched chain, and what I did to check it, so obviously on that end these two pins are lined up, and this chain's very old, and you can see the difference is probably, oh, what do you think that is? Just over an eighth, maybe 3/16 of an inch difference. So I don't know if I'm gonna have to adjust this thing at all. It's damn near the exact same length. I'm kind of shocked. Front sprocket is smoked, so we'll definitely get that changed over, and then we'll take a look at the rear sprocket. So for you guys that do a lot of riding, you'll know better than I would, but it seems like that's opened up massively. The bottom is completely squared out on it, so I don't know, seems like it's pretty wrecked to me. And then I wonder if there's a misalignment problem, because there's a whole bunch of wear on the inside here. So I don't know what that's all about. I wonder if you can adjust tracking on this somehow. Now I was told 13 is stock, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Damn it. So I bought a 14 tooth and a 13 thinking that 13 was stock. So I guess I'll have to put the 39 in the rear. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yep, it's a 14 tooth. Alright, so I got a JT sprocket. Sprocket's a sprocket, I'm assuming. It says it's hardened, so. SCM 420 chromo steel front sprocket. So yeah, I don't know anything about this company. Hopefully it's good. And then of course I've got to put all this junk back on, and I definitely need to grease this stuff. So oops, bye bye. I'm gonna go get some grease. Alrighty, I'm probably doing it all wrong, but I'm putting a little bit of grease on the sprocket drive, the splines, and then I'm going to put Loctite. Make sure this is cleaned off. Make sure I put Loctite on the threads themselves. Of course, blue Loctite. And someone said it takes 50 some foot-pounds, so that on. Put the old washer on there. And a little bit of blue Loctite. Okay. And then it says 54 foot-pounds online, so that is what we are doing, is 54 foot-pounds. And then you got to bend the washer up, so we'll get close to 54 foot-pounds. 54 foot-pounds. Let's see, in gear, well, it's, no, not gonna do it. something like that. And then don't forget to bend the old sprocket up, I guess. So, all right. And now I'm gonna be vain and paint that thing real quick. All right, I don't know how you all, aka y'all, aka Ewans, do it out there, but I'm gonna spray can paint into a cup. And then I'm going to use a Q-tip, cup full of paint, Q-tip, paint on the bolt. And I don't get overspray everywhere. Oops, got a little on the sprocket. Let's rub that out with the other end. With my little dry erase marker side. Get a little more paint on here. Hopefully we'll keep that Coos Bay rust off of here for a short while. Try not to flick it all over the place. Ta-da! All done. So, Q-tip does a pretty good job without getting paint all over the place. And it was super rusty, so it looks better now. You cannot do what I did if you do not have a master link and you don't have a chain breaker. If you have to put the chain on whole, you have to take like the swing arm loose and bottom of the shock off, and it's like a whole ordeal. So hopefully I won't regret having a master link. It'll suck if that comes off out in the dunes. So I'm gonna make sure it's definitely at its prescribed loosest amount, which I think is like 1 inch of play. All right, it's the next day, and we're gonna take the rear tire off and get the sprocket swapped out, going to a 39. I don't think the 39 is gonna make much of a difference. I think the 15 would have been different, maybe too much different. I don't know, maybe I need to go to a 40 in the back and 14 in the front. I just don't know. So I need to actually go and work out on paper what the ratios are, just divide one into the other so I know. And maybe I'll throw that in the video here, so we'll see. Anyways, get this stuff off of here. Uh-oh. Huh. That's no bueno. Those are really on there. Alright, unfortunately I have to use the big dog. Well, all of those are going to get replaced. See what I find at the hardware store. So, on to taking that off now. On mine, I replaced these with Allens because they needed to be longer for this. So, the blue that you're seeing on there is actually C-Series Cerakote. I can't remember, it's the one you bake in the oven. Maybe it's H series. I think it's C series. And because these are yellow zinc, it didn't stick to them. These were black oxide and it did stick better, but it becomes really flat in UV. I don't know if it's very UV stable. So I don't know what Cerakote's got these days, but this blue that I got from them and baked in the oven at the prescribed time isn't great. Obviously what I would have wanted was nickel plating or something like that, because powder coating also sucks for hardware. This is a 38. So I'm going to go with a 39. So I've got a primary drive 39, came in black. This is just what it came in. And I'm going to need to go get new nuts for these bolts. I believe they're 8x125 or something like that. I'll go look at what the standard is. And so I don't need hardware for that, but I do need hardware for my wheel. What are my wheels? Let's go check real quick. They look, if I had to guess, like 8x15 or 125. So I have this handy dandy little hardware checker, and M10x125. So we're gonna go to the hardware store and get some stuff. See you in a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna get some anti-seize on these and then tighten them up. 15. So we'll just get some off the side here. So 15 and number 8. 8mm. Get these snugged up first. Alright, she's all tightened up. Alright, so you can, on that last clip, you can see that the sprockets, the original sprockets, smoked. I mean, I don't know when it was changed. Could be the original. Who knows? It was opened up pretty bad. So we're gonna put the chain on before we put the tire on, and I can see what I'm doing and not have to work around the tire. I've never done this before, so I've got an idea what I think would work easier, but I may be wrong, so we'll see. Okay, because the sprocket's bigger, I figured this would happen, but I've got to change the position of this eccentric axle. These bolts all seem to come loose nice and easy. It's good. And probably go ahead and take them out and make sure they got a little anti-seize on them, because I do not hate it when stuff galls in aluminum, which I've had happen many times in the past. Living on the coast, everything gets corroded. Are these already coated? Nope. They're gonna be. Alright, so I found a punch that's the size of this hole right here. And I'm just using the tire to run my eccentric forward. So far it's not fitting. Alright, so it looks like I need to loosen this up. So I let that rotate back a little bit. This chain, man. Alright, I couldn't figure out how to get the chain together because it was a little tight. And what I did is I took me in those pliers and put it in the end of each link and squeeze them together. And then you can just get your master link in it. Oop. It's still kind of a pain in the ass, but you can squeeze it together if you can get it not to pop out. Alright, it says I got 31% if I'm real lucky. The old GoPro will just quit on me. GoPro is such a fantastic company. Okay. See, and then when it works, it just goes right in. And then put the old yellow link on. Do you remember if you face the master link forward or backwards? Okay, so if you happen to have a master link, the internet says that the closed end faces the direction of chain travel. Well, paddles go that way, top of chain goes that way. And then the other thing I saw online, some guy showed, was you just grab the back of the post and the front of the master link clip, and it should go right on. Should. Of course, that's not how real world works. There we go. Master link is on. Chain's on. Chain's too tight. Alright, we're going to tighten the nuts up. Let's see here. So I need new nuts, and I didn't order them in time, and the hardware store did not have M10 by 125 flange nuts. So I'm just having to go with what I got this time. I think down the road I may actually get some titanium hardware made. I already have some of it in the house, but I just haven't put it on here yet because I haven't had time to fix this thing up the way I want it. Alright, it's supposed to have 1 inch of travel, so we'll get in here and try to measure that. Okay, so we got it right. Can you guys see that? I'll move it down here. So we're at 2, and it goes to, see, 2 to like, if I barely push, it goes to 1 1/8, but if I push a little bit harder, it goes to 1 1/4. So I think that's where it's supposed to be. So we'll go ahead and tighten. We'll go ahead and tighten these up. If I could just stop dropping shit. And we're just gonna snug them up. I heard you do the inners first and then the outers. I could have that backwards. So we'll go ahead and finish tightening them up. Alright, last but not least, getting this little cover back on here, Got some anti-seize on the stainless hardware because stainless and aluminum don't play well together. And gonna do the same thing on the other stainless screw. Just do not want there to be a galling issue. So, my recording. Yep. Alrighty. Well, at least I won't have rusty bolts. Even though 308 will rust. I think that's what these are. I don't think they're 316. Alright, changing the oil is next. I'm going to test and make sure the chain isn't too tight. It looks like it's the right number at like 1.125" to 1.25", depending on how I measure it. So oil's next. Hopefully I don't have any problems there. Alright guys, time to change the oil. I'm doing it this way. This is for the oil reservoir. Mine's a 2006. And then I'll get a it's a 12 millimeter if I didn't say that. I'm gonna get a 12 millimeter box end wrench for the one on the motor. I have some aluminum foil down in there, and what I did is a long time ago I drilled my skid plate. You can see the two different locations I drilled. And that just means that hopefully I don't get oil all over the bottom of the four-wheeler. It's not quite running right. I swear I have it jetted for the dunes, but it's popping off of when you stab the throttle off of idle. I don't know if it's doing it when I'm on the bike though. I think it's just doing it in neutral, so not sure. Hopefully I don't have to open the carb up over there. Anything else I would mention? I don't think so. I think we're just gonna get the oil out of this thing. It's hot. Been running it for a little bit, so should just come right out of there. Oh, also have, you know, the typical oil thingy, oil catch. So, and I'm cheating. I'm up on a lift, so that makes it way easier. I'm sure it's gonna be nice and hot. Alright, so I got the bolt out and the oil's good coming out of it. So we're just draining this out of here, and then as soon as that's kind of drained out, we'll do the engine, so I'll go get that. Okay, why is that so tight? What sort of asshole tightened that so friggin' tight? Oh, my bolt's down in there. Oh well. That's what magnets are for. Well, I managed to drop both bolts down in the oil container, so we'll see if they're magnetic or not. You can see I got tin foil to just try to keep the oil out of the bottom of this thing. It still dripped a little bit out of there, but it's not bad. Alright, snug up the bolts. Whoever tightened these up is an idiot. Well, this one specifically was way too tight. Hopefully it wasn't my cousin. If it was, I'm sorry. Not calling you an idiot. Whoever tightened this up, it was way too tight. And then this one here. Alright, since this is what I got, I'm going to use this on the end of it to tighten the one for the reservoir. So that's it. Alright, we'll see how the low light works. I got a couple people call me on the phone and I'm running out of light here. So this should be a mid-length screw. And this should be a short screw. Yep. And then this one up here should be a really long screw. And yep. And then you might note that I have, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got aluminum foil here to keep things off the bike. You guys can see that. And oh, let's not drip it on the, let's not do that. Okay. So this should go on here like so. All my O-rings are in place. I wiped the face down, the ceiling face down. I got sand all over the place here, so I tried not to touch anything with the rag except the ceiling face. And then get my wrench here and get this thing spun down. Sorry to be in your guys' road. Crunchy. I should have hit that with some simple green right there. That was a mistake. Okay. Now, I am not filling this thing up tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and put a sticker on the throttle handle, or I mean on the start, that says no oil, so that I do not start this bike. I bought these are supposed to be decent. I got a 5-pack. They're the brand High Flow, and they're HF141, so that's the part number there. Got it swapped in. Didn't drop any oil on the bike, which I'm very happy about. I'm gonna inspect the filter in the morning and have a good look at it, make sure there's no metal or anything. I didn't see anything suspicious in the oil. It looks pretty good, so we're gonna wrap it up tonight. I'll see you in the morning. Alright guys, as you saw last night, I ran out of time, so I have a sticker that says no oil right here on the grip. That just means that I won't get up here and try to start this thing. I would have preferred like a little hanging tag, but I just don't have them, and it's not something I normally do. But if I service these all the time, I would definitely get tags for the bikes. Anyways, we're gonna throw, I think it's 1.5 quarts in here. We'll put most of it in the tank and a little bit in the engine, and pretty straightforward. There's 1,000 other videos on the internet, so. And this is Yamalube 1040, just the regular stuff. So let's see, this thing says it's at 4 quarts, is that correct? Is this 1 gallon? Yeah. So I'm gonna go to 2.5 quarts, more or less. To the add mark. All right, pulling the sticker off. I've got about I've got about 3.25 in there now. I'm gonna just start it for a second and then shut it back off. Now I gotta clean that. So I'm gonna go ahead and start it up. It's got about 1.25 in it now, and it says it's reading on the dipstick right at the E mark, but I added oil to the crankcase. So I'm gonna go ahead and start it and then shut it off and see what it says. All right, so bike's all filled up. For me, it took about 1.75 quarts, 1 quarts. Now, I didn't let it run for a really long time, so maybe I didn't let it warm up long enough, but like I said, it took a little more than 1.5 quarts. So that was with a filter. Next, I'm going to get to fix stitching these failed footwells. You know, a lot of guys don't run these. I like them. You know, I'm no longer agile. I'm less than agile, and so I want some place for my feet to go if they come off the foot pegs for some reason. So I'm going to stitch these up. I may take them off because they're pulling funny. I'm not quite sure. I got to look at both sides, but maybe we'll get a little bit of that footage and go on from there. All right, to fix these footwells, I'll show you what's going on. So you can see that this is torn out, and then I've got to adjust them because this one's pulling way too far that way and needs to be brought back this direction. This is coming loose here. But yeah, these two have come completely loose, and then I've got similar problems on the other side. I'm debating whether or not to pull these out. Yeah, I'm not sure about those. You can see these should be back here. So anyways, this right here is called a sewing awl, and it has a little built-in spool, and I'm going to be doing something called I believe it's a whip stitch or saddle stitch or whatever, and it's just going to be to semi-temporarily repair these. It should last a while, but the abrasion has caused them to, and their age has caused them to come apart. I need to get a stinking sewing machine and do a set for myself instead of paying $150 for stock sets. So anyways, I'll show you some of that. I'm not going to show you a lot because it's super tedious, so I'll do a couple stitches and then you can I'll leave the rest to your imagination until they're done. All right, I got a lift, so this is way easier, but basically what I'm trying to do is straighten this out. So this needed to go back, and then this one looks like it's pretty neutral. So the next job obviously is to fix some of these spots. Feeding this through is so difficult. I can't believe how difficult it is. You have to unfeed this, and then when you have to grip onto it with pliers, there's these alignments, and you actually have to feed it through, you have to get a hold of it way up here and push up to feed it through. Let's see, you have to get a hold of it and like lift up to get it to feed through. It's kind of a pain in the ass. This one looks like it needs to go back this direction as well, so I'll do that. And then I took this mostly loose just so I could get these pieces here straight across, and then I'll go to the other side and I'll work on that as well. So it's just a tedious process. All right, I changed my stitch. So to start this, I went down and then back up, and then I went through the middle of this wax coated string. Looks like that. Get it on Amazon a couple times. And hopefully that will allow me to pull this up tight. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around this once and then through each time. And this is just a thimble that I can press. I use my thumb and kind of it turns sideways on my finger to drive it. And this is going to be good enough. Come back up, and then we're gonna loop it once and go back down. And we'll come back up. Nope, that's way too far. Sheesh, come on out of there. And we're gonna loop it once and head back down. Okay, that's not super strong. Alright, this is pretty much the end of the video. I stitched up the left side footwell. Didn't bother doing the right side. Gosh, the way they have the nylon straps tighten is just beyond shit. I spent about 2 hours stitching. I'll show you guys the results. I think they call it a saddle stitch, is by far the best looking stitch, and I think it's also the tightest. So that's what I do, is a saddle stitch. I think it's also called whip stitch. That's what they do for boots. I tried 2 different kinds and the one didn't work very well, so get you guys off of here and show you. So I had different, this is also a cheaper stitching material even though it's waxed. So I just stitched this what I would call regular, just in and out. And then this right here is a saddle stitch, and that turned out tighter and better. It's much tighter. Regular stitch here, and so I stitched these 4 and tried to adjust this. This setup they have here is just insanely stupid. I can't believe some retard thought that that was a good design. So my gosh, there has to be a better way to do it. I'm gonna look at some of the other brands to see. But anyways, it's stitched up. There's nothing else to do. Got oil in it, so she's ready to ride for the weekend. It pops a little bit on stabbing the throttle. It smells rich, so I'm hoping when I get to the coast, because we'll be lower, it leans out. So who knows? Anyways, hope this is entertaining. If it helps you somehow, that's cool too. So we're headed to the dunes. Talk to you later. Bye.